So today we're going to make a table tennis table, customised. The top and face will be regulation size and set out. We're using the wormy chestnut, so there's a lot of grain and figure in the timber. Some of that will be filled with resin, so it'll be quite quite a dramatic timber face. The base is going to be sort of oval, oblong, two bases each end, and we're putting a lifter in it so it can sit at its lower height at regulation height. But the table then can be lifted to bar height for multi-use and second life as an entertainment space. All right, so we're just going to rip up our material. It's got the 140 by 32 wormy chestnut. We're using our multi-rip saw. So we set this up with multiple blades. You can see in here. See through the end. So we've got 6 blades in there set up so we can rip in one pass. It's a great way of saving fingers and being safe with ripping. When you're doing a lot of ripping, this is a great tool. So we'll get started. We've got the dust extraction to turn on, and then we'll do some feed throughs.
Yeah.
All right, we're just putting this material now through and thicknessing it. It was cut out of 32, so that's staying as a dressed edge. We're taking a little bit off a mill each side, so we'll feed that through now, and we'll get one side on the way. Okay, welcome back. We've prepped all our material now, so you can see here. A table full of dressed material. We've just got to now put the concave and convex side on them. So we're going to set up the router table. So we'll just get that happening. This is the router table here, Vestal table router, set up typically for pencil rounding timber on wine cellars. So we'll take that out and we'll put our bits in for our interlocking panels. Alright, next stage, I'm going to mark out these bases, each end, the oval bases. So to do that, we're going to play with a pattern and then mark that out and maybe have it CNC cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
our table tennis legs. With their first coat of hard wax oil. We've got half the table tennis top here. We're doing it in 2 halves and then join the last, the big sections down the middle. We can also put it through a drum sander in 2 halves and get our alignment pretty nice. So what we've done here is we've set up our domino markings. You can see here we have got some alignments through. We've numbered 1, 2, 3 and 4 with our main join, a line running through and a diagonal. And then our domino lines, we've created a tight and tight. So that means the domino on each side here is a tight fit. Tight fit both sides, tight fit both sides, and tight fit both sides. And then the rest of the top, we've got a tight and open. So the open just means it's elongated, up and down alignment still spot on. No change there, but the domino is wider. The groove is wider on this side. So it means this tight side all the way through gets the alignment perfect. And then the rest, you've got your tight where you have your domino set, and then you're putting it into your open, which just gives you a little bit of wriggle room sideways. Without that, you'd never get all of them aligned tight everywhere, so you'd be fighting the dominoes and it just wouldn't work. So that's the top, ready for dominoing. So we'll get into doing some dominoes. We can see here that that's a domino 1400 by 100, and that's a tight fit. And that's also going into so we've got 2 tight fits there, 1400 by 100 sitting in tight fits, so that aligns the end. And as we move along here, you can see we've got tight and loose. So tight's spot on right size, and the loose gives you the same alignment down from the top of the timber, but it gives you a sideways wriggle room. So you can see we've gone tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, loose. And just at one end, tight and tight, and that picks up our alignment. So I think we're ready to glue up here. We'll get clamps and underway, and we can do our glue up. Alright, this is the table, tennis table. Both sections have been laminated up and we've done our first resin pour. So we've just, you can see there, we've filled up any imperfections. There's little slight imperfections there with you know, gum veins that's going to get sanded out anyway, so we haven't filled those, just anything that's deep. Most of them have filled nicely. There's some that have obviously sunk in. We've plugged some holes too with a black Sikaflex in deep, being very careful not to get that on any sort of finished surfaces. But when you look into the resin pile, you're not seeing glue or right through. So I'm going to go around and just mark up, or create like a little dam around any items still to be refilled. A little bit low on the side there. So we'll get set up and we'll get that underway. Good morning. This morning, or today, Saturday, we're finishing off the table tennis table. So we've got perimeter cuts to do, final dimensioning. We've then got a rebaited perimeter edge, 20mm brass inlay to put in, and with a T, it's a T section to give it extra strength. So we've also got a trench to cut. And then we've got a 5mm centre line up the middle. We're gluing all them in place and clamping them up. So that's today's exercise, finished tabletop, ready for the final sanding and coating. So let's get into it. So this is the tabletop. It's all been we've glued it all up in sections, 2 sections, and then we've joined those. And now we've just got our final overall cut. So we look at our plan set here. We've got an overall table length is 2740 by 1525. So we'll cut that with the Festool track saw, and then we're looking at routering in the T section and cutting the T with the saw. So if you look at, this is a sample we did yesterday. So we've got the T section here. So it's an aluminium T, it's a 20 by 20, and we've routed an edge in there and then trenched for the T. That's then being glued in, and we're using the Star Bond medium thick glue there, and that's really, we did this little test sample just to really make sure that it glues in well. and then we're doing we'll do a sanded, that's sort of a rough sand finish, and then it'll be fine finish, and then a coating on the top. So we'll just we'll get into that. All right, back to the table here. We've experienced a very upsetting end here. When the tabletop was sanded, the marks weren't transferred to the ends or to the sides, so the domino lines were sanded off. So I went back through photos and film of the process, and then I tried to scale back off the image, and I marked where I thought the domino line was. Trimmed everything up to regulation table tennis height, but last cut straight through the domino line, which is very sickening. It's almost a throwaway job. And then sort of played around with thoughts and ideas on how to fix that. And the one thought was putting a full angle aluminium on the sides, because you've got a 20mm line to mark on the face. But I think that would then feel like a veneer top table if you've got brass capping all sides. So that's not an option. The other was insetting, putting a rebut in the end here, and then putting in a side grain piece of timber and contrasting it. But I think that also would feel like, why would you do that? You've got exposed end grain and side grain, so it feels like a solid table. I think having an infill full end through doesn't make sense. Then thought about sort of a brass insert, some decorative brass work just at the ends, but again, I think that looks like sort of a fix-up. I spoke to my father-in-law, Gavin, who's always a master solver when it comes to woodworking, and he threw around a few options, and we've also got that T section going on the top, so there's some weakening there of the of the side wall with that section sitting in. But he came up with the idea that we're going to proceed with, and that's rebate out the dominoes, and then cut end grain sections out of the, so we'll be trenching through here, creating a rebate, so the domino, we've got like a 15mm trench, domino height up and down, and then taking the off-cut timber and cutting sections out of that can be then glued in, and back to that alignment. So going to give that a go, and if it's done properly, glued up nicely, you shouldn't be able to see the join. So let's see how we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back. Today we're going to try and finish off this table tennis table. We've got the table turned on its back at the moment, so you'd be able to see the orientation there. And that's underneath, got the brass inlays, and it's all finished off nicely. But today we're putting in these two powder coated steel support brackets. So 10mm thick, about 1300 wide. They've all been pre-drilled and countersunk to suit screw fixings. So we're going to rebate that into the main back of the table. And there's also screw fixings there for our hydraulic lifters, which will then lift up into that area. So we just shoot back in here. This is our two ends, our two table legs. So we've got the deep recessed area there, and then over here we've got our hydraulic lifters. So there's 4 of those, and we've got a screw fixing on the top. So they sit down in the tops here, so 2 on each leg, and then they get fixed back to these large format steel plates, and the idea there too is that the steel plates are also going to spread load and also span across all the board joins, and provide some long-term stability there for the table. It's obviously quite a large laminated up table, so it's we've used large 12mm dominoes that extend right through each board, so it's got a lot of additional support there to assist in trying to keep that in a stable condition. So today it's sort of our main plan set with the design. We're looking at 450 inset, 250. We're looking at 575 centre line to our legs, centred on the other axis and from each end. So that's what we're about to do. So laminate up, router bits. There's our leg cutting profile. Support bracket, inlays, legs, cross member. Yeah, so that's that steel bracket that you've just seen. So that was our set out. So we've set it out. So you've got cumulative figures through here, centers through there, and it's all been drill pressed, countersunk in the opposite way for the plates. Yeah, so let's get into it. Alright, this is the back of the table tennis table, ready for final coats. We've done both the rebated steel sections for our main support and connection detail to the two legs with our our struts, our mechanical struts. So we're now going to put a coat of Fiddy's hard wax oil. We're going with the clear satin, what we normally do, we had an initial coat on here once we've did all our laminates, just to keep the moisture level the same throughout and stop the timber wanting to move. So I've given this a final sand, and we're going to give this whole back 3 coats today, and then we'll turn it over and we'll resand the face and do finishings there. So Fid's hard wax oil, normally give it a good stir. And we use an offcut bit of timber, just make sure there's no dags or loose items that can contaminate the oil. Give it a bit of a stir. The other thing we do is just we use a 0.5 or a 5mm nap on the roller, and we just run that over a bit of masking tape just to pull off any loose hair in the roller, and the tape will, you know, add that on. You still get a little bit coming through. You've got to keep an eye on that, but it reduces that from happening. Ready to go. The section that's hidden by these steel brackets, I'm just going to paint them in. You don't see them. I'd like to coat all surfaces and just make sure, yeah, all surfaces of the timber are treated the same, and I think you know, the idea there is you reduce movement, change of moisture content in the timber, so it's same treatment on all exposed surfaces. You know, that's going to be less likely to happen. Alright, we'll go down the other end and do that one. Often apply it across grain just to try and get it in there, roll off on the with the grain. And sometimes it pushes into the grain a bit better rather than pulling across it. Kind of deeper fills, I think. It's very rewarding seeing all that grain pop out. Looking good. All right, just sanding up these today. We've the brass inlays have all been glued and finished, so I think we're just doing a final sand. So did an overlap joint here rather than a miter, just with to control that sort of sharp edge. And same here, you know, on all sides, that sort of overlap, that joint. That's our inlay junction with 5mm down the side and 20mm around the perimeter. So we'll sand up the edges and the main table. All right, just looking at the finishes here, we've done. This is the polished brass, which shows yeah, a nice sort of contrast and highly polished. And that was the original idea, but I think I prefer the 240 grit sand without the polish. We'll have a look at that up here. So I think you can see, you know, the sand marks. I think the fine sand marks give it quite a nice contrasting finish. You know, it could be seen as unfinished, maybe to a woodworker, but or metal worker. But I think you know, they're very, very subtle and adds quite a lot of interest to the brass, I think. So that's a little sample with our finish. So I think yeah, you can see the look there. So I think the idea is to sand over where we've been polishing up the brass. That's the polished look. And then you can see here where I've come along and come back sanding over the polished marks. So I'll just show you that. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. Looking good. All right, this is Fiddle's hard wax oil, going on very nicely with our master painter. Here's the master painter's dog. Hey, Maisie. You sit, sit, sit. That's a good dog. All right, now sit, sit, Maisie. That's a good girl. Do you like the painting? So first coat of 3. We'll give it a 1200 sand in between, and then we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Alright, just made up a template for our table tennis net. So if that's your side of the table, it's going to sit here with the net pole running back that way. So that's our jig that's then going to be fixed to this timber, double-sided tape, and then we'll cut it out. Obviously cut it out prior, oversize, double-sided tape it on, and then we'll be routering it off to that template. It's got two of those set up, off cuts, so I've just got to take them down to the right dimensions.
Yeah.